Have you ever found yourself trapped in the labyrinth of your own thoughts, constantly analyzing situations or decisions beyond necessity? Welcome to the paradox of overthinking. It's a peculiar conundrum where the more we dwell on something, the less clear it appears. The mind gets entangled in a web of thoughts, turning clarity into confusion, decisions into dilemmas. Overthinking is a silent epidemic, a common issue that many grapple with, often unbeknownst to them. It's like being stuck in a traffic jam of the mind, where thoughts collide and nothing seems to move. We end up in a mental deadlock where the simple becomes complex, the straightforward seems convoluted. But here's the real paradox, the real crux of the matter. Why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we let our minds wander into this maze, turning the simple act of thinking into an exhausting mental marathon? Overthinking can turn a simple decision into a complex puzzle. But why do we do this to ourselves? So why do we overthink? What sends us spiraling down this rabbit hole of relentless rumination? The roots of overthinking are as diverse as they are deep, often rooted in our fears and insecurities. A common cause of overthinking is fear of the unknown. We're hardwired to crave certainty, and when we face situations that are ambiguous or uncertain, our minds can go into overdrive, attempting to predict every possible outcome and how to handle it. In essence, our minds are trying to solve a puzzle without all the pieces, which can lead to an endless loop of uncertainty and worry. Another trigger is perfectionism. If you've ever found yourself caught in the trap of trying to make everything just right, you know how this can lead to overthinking. We can become so focused on achieving an ideal outcome that we lose sight of the bigger picture and get bogged down in the minutiae. This kind of overthinking can be paralyzing, as we can become so afraid of making a mistake that we end up doing nothing at all. Fear of judgment is another common root of overthinking. We live in a world where we are constantly being evaluated and judged, and this can lead to a fear of criticism that triggers overthinking. We may find ourselves obsessing over how others perceive us, replaying conversations in our heads, or worrying about how our actions will be interpreted. Lastly, a lack of self-confidence can also lead to overthinking. If we don't trust in our abilities or decisions, we can find ourselves second-guessing our every move. This lack of confidence can make us question our own judgment, leading to a cycle of self-doubt and overthinking. These triggers can lead to mental and emotional exhaustion. Overthinking is like running on a treadmill. You're using a lot of energy but not actually getting anywhere. The good news, though, is that by understanding these roots of overthinking, we can start to untangle the web of thoughts that keep us stuck. These are the roots of overthinking, but understanding them is the first step towards overcoming this habit. Overthinking doesn't just exhaust our minds, it can have serious implications for our overall well-being. In a world where we're constantly encouraged to strive for more, to analyze every angle, it's no surprise that many of us fall into the trap of overthinking. But what happens when this becomes our default mode? Well, one of the most immediate impacts of overthinking is indecision. We become so caught up in weighing pros and cons, in trying to predict every possible outcome, that we end up paralyzed. We're stuck in a state of endless contemplation, unable to take action. Then there's the stress and anxiety. Overthinking often means we're living in the future, worrying about what might happen, or dwelling in the past, fretting over what we could have done differently. This constant state of worry can lead to heightened stress levels and over time can spiral into anxiety disorders. And let's not forget about the impact on our sleep. Overthinking often kicks into high gear at night when we're trying to relax. Our minds start racing, dissecting every conversation, every decision, and before we know it, hours have passed and we're still wide awake. This can lead to chronic insomnia, which in turn affects our physical health and cognitive abilities. But the effects of overthinking aren't just limited to our personal lives. It can also affect our productivity at work. When we're stuck in a cycle of overthinking, we're not fully present. We're not focused on the task at hand, and as a result, our performance suffers. And lastly, overthinking can take a toll on our relationships. We may start to read too much into every interaction, every word spoken, leading to misunderstandings and conflict. In essence, overthinking robs us of our peace of mind, our focus, and our ability to enjoy life. It's a silent saboteur lurking in the shadows of our minds, disrupting our lives in more ways than we may realize. Overthinking might seem harmless, but its impacts can be far-reaching. It's not just a mental habit, it's a silent saboteur. So how do we sum up overthinking? Is it just a quirk or something more sinister? Overthinking, as we've explored, is a paradox. It's like quicksand. The more we struggle against it, the deeper we sink. It's a mental habit that can sneak up on us, rooted in our anxieties, insecurities, and the relentless pursuit of perfection. It's the echo chamber of the mind where thoughts bounce around endlessly, amplifying fears and doubts. This habit, it's not just a harmless quirk. It's something more profound, more impactful. It can lead to a host of problems, from sleepless nights to full-blown anxiety disorders. It can rob us of our joy, muddy our present, and cast a shadow over our future. It can make mountains out of molehills and turn molehills into insurmountable peaks. But let's not forget, its prevalence is not a testament to its power, but to the universality of the human experience. We're all prone to overthinking, but we're also all capable of overcoming it. It's not a life sentence. It's a habit that can be broken. Think of it as a cycle. We start with a worry, a doubt, a fear. That thought grows, multiplies, spirals, but just as that cycle can start, it can also be stopped. We can break it with awareness, with understanding, with effort. We can replace those negative thoughts with positive ones, those doubts with certainties, those fears with hopes. It's a challenge, no doubt, but remember, every challenge is also an opportunity. An opportunity to grow, to learn, to change. Overthinking is no different. It's an opportunity to learn about ourselves, to understand our thought patterns, to change our habits. So yes, overthinking can be a formidable foe. It can be a dark cloud that hovers over our minds. But with understanding and effort, we can disperse that cloud. We can break free from the chains of overthinking. Overthinking can be a formidable foe, but with understanding and effort, we can break free from its chains. Remember, the power to change our thinking patterns lies within us.